Okay, it's 6:04 on March 21st, 2024. I'd like to call the meeting of the Fairfield Bike and Pedestrian Committee to order. Committee members in attendance are Mike Allen, Steve Nidek, Sarah Mason, Dave Peck, and Tony Wellman, so we have a quorum. On the phone, we have Tim Callahan, all the way from Colorado. Anya informed me that she will not be here tonight, and I got an email from Dave Dembowski about an hour ago, and he regrettably is going to resign or has resigned. He has clients he has to entertain tonight or whatever, but he's had a hard time kind of getting here, and I think there's certain jobs that it just doesn't fit well with. You know, if you travel a lot, I know he travels a lot and stuff, so we have a vacancy now. I notified Jennifer Carpenter earlier today, or right after I got that, I should say.
Do we have a bench of people waiting?
There is a short list, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, Jennifer keeps that list, and I believe Frank is not going to be here either. I'm trying to think if I got an email from him. So. Okay, so move ahead here. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Actually, I would like to, before we do that, I'm sorry. Since Anya is here, would someone like to volunteer to do the minutes? So I don't have to.
I have to leave a little early, so.
Well, see, I think it's all about the recording. Oh, there's Frank. And Tom. Yeah, and you know, the next topic I'm going to talk about actually is, you know, the Robert's Rules workshop. Well, first of all, does somebody want to volunteer to take the minutes? Or else I'm going to have to appoint somebody. Anybody? No? Tom, I think it's the next in command. I'm going to ask you to take the minutes, okay? There you go. See that? I like that attitude. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the chairman's report. I just got a few things, information to share with folks, etc.
Minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't approve the minutes. My bad. I'm sorry.
Second that.
Okay. Any discussion, comments, changes, alterations? No? Okay, great. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's approved unanimously. Thanks, Mike. Okay, so for my report, the first thing I want just a few things to talk about here. I was wondering if everybody had a chance to go to either go to attend. I know Tom was there, I was there. The actual Robert Rules, how to run an effective meeting that was held. I thought it was very good. It was recorded, and I think I'd sent something out asking everybody to at least, if not listen to the recording, kind of run through the attachment.
This was the FOIA?
Yeah, it was Robert's Rules and FOIA, right, combination. And
actually very good, very concise.
I thought it was very good. Did you listen to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that was good. Just a couple things that I gathered from that while I attended, and I just want to highlight for everybody. You know, at our last monthly meeting, I feel like things got just a little bit out of control near the end of the meeting there. So, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to, you know, sort of adhere a little more closely or try to adhere a little more closely to the Robert's Rules, and I'm just going to read you a couple of them here that I would like to enforce. So, it says, members must obtain the floor by being recognized by the chair. Okay, so please just put your hand up. I'll get to everybody. You know, that's kind of why I'm here. The rule encourages polite discourse, focus on debating the issues, not the person. I'd like you to keep that in mind. And you must ensure that this is from the chair's point, you must ensure that no one speaks without first being recognized by the chair. So let's not have conversations, etc. And actually, this one wasn't even aware. Members cannot address one another or third parties directly, so you really can't have, which we had going on last month too, some conversations amongst people, you know, all that stuff. So if we just keep those few things in mind, I think the meeting will proceed a little better, and I'm asking everybody to please comply with that, and if not, I will, you know, advise people of that. Okay. That's all I have for Robert's Rules. As I mentioned in the last meeting, I was gonna plan to have a meeting with, the first selectman, which I did. And, we went over the goals, and he was very, enthusiastically supportive of all the goals. I sort of asked him if he could prioritize them, and he basically said he really liked them all. He thought they were all really good, and he didn't want to do that. So I felt good about that. Like I said, he was very appreciative. Now, one thing that happened, that I forgot, I kind of ran out of time. The police chief came in and he needed some time, so I kind of had to get out of there a little quicker than I wanted to. But so I did send him an email. I go over some emails here as part of what I'm going to share with people. But so the day after, I said, Bill, thank you for meeting with me last Friday to review the goals. One thing I forgot to mention is the fact that approval of the updated master plan for FBPC is in limbo. The attached draft plan, Bill Hurley, please verify this is the latest draft, has been reviewed and the committee changes incorporated as of July 26, 2023. Perhaps you would like to add information about the role of the FBPC in the Safe Streets Ordinance. Once that is done, hopefully it can be approved by the Board of Selectmen. So I'm raising this up again because, you know, it's supposed to be our Bible, let's say, okay, that guides us. And, you know, it is a pretty good document, but, you know, it's been, like I said, it's been in limbo. Bill, do you have anything to add to that? Have you?
No.
I'm not sure why I went into limbo, to be honest, but,
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I think there was a markup and, like you said, a revision. The Bike and Ped Committee, incorporated some comments. We incorporated as many as we could in the master plan. And then I think what happened was by the town then going with the complete streets policy, it kind of took priority over that. Now, as part of the complete streets policy, they want to now work on a right-of-way manual.
Right, I'm aware of that.
So that we are working on, and we already have an appointment set up with Mr. Gerber for.
You're working on that, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yep, yeah.
So do you think that the master plan, I mean, I guess we don't need multiple documents to kind of say the same thing. I think we need one guiding line. And if that's not the right one, I'm fine with not, you know, doing away with it or whatever. But whatever the Board of Selectmen decide is,
right,
I'm fine with. Mm-hmm. If they say, let's do complete streets in the ordinance, safe streets ordinance, and you know, kind of back off of the master, I'm fine with that. So.
And it might be at the right-of-way manual.
Well, that too.
Chapter 8 will say, you know, refer to the master plan for each annual update or something like that, or, you know, measures of.
I'd rather not have to juggle like three different.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying it might, where one's a document that has all the features in it, and then there's another document that's more, I guess the equivalent would be in stormwater. We have something where you have like a pollution prevention plan, but then you have an annual report. So the prevention plan is like a 5-year document that you don't, you know, once it's in, you don't touch for 5 years. But the annual report is all your performance measures and any little tweaks. So there's 2 of them. But yeah, I agree, you don't want 3 or 4, that's
right.
for sure.
So I guess I'm just gonna keep on top of this. I didn't send a follow-up. I sent that to him on March 4th, so it's been a few weeks now.
And as you know, right now, we're right in the midst of budget
Yeah,
season.
I understand. So, that's why I'm not, I just don't want it to get lost, because it's been lost for 6-8 months now, more than 8 months.
But good news is he approached me. I had a paper that I needed him to sign for about a bridge.
Yep.
He approached me saying, we need to meet you, me, Mega, about complete streets, so, and all that. So he's definitely on his mind, yeah.
Cool. All right, good. Enough said.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing is I got some emails from folks with links to videos and stuff, and I thought I really liked the video thing, to be honest. I think that, you know, it's more effective to watch a short video than to have to read through, you know, multiple pages of documents, which generally people don't do. That's just the reality of it. So I did like that, and Tony came up with, or asked me if he could post them to our Facebook page, and I said, absolutely, that's tremendous.
I haven't done that. Is that okay with, you think, anybody that was there? It's on YouTube, so.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if we could post it. I think we should also get into the Instagram account too, because you can post it there.
Yeah. Okay. Sure, will do.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a really good thing. And, while we're on that, do you want to talk a little bit about the, no, let me finish my report and then we'll get to it.
Okay.
Sorry. Next thing is a grant support letter for SS4A, Safe Streets for All, which I sent out. They sent me Sarah sent me a draft, right? Okay, and I put some edits in there and I sent them around. So, if anybody has any additional edits they would like to make or any comments about the edits I made, I think you said it looked okay to you, right? So, if everybody's in agreement, I'd like to make a motion that, we approve the, grant support letter for SS4A.
Motion to approve.
Mhm. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, great.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Vote.
Oh, I'll vote, yeah. I have a question now.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
just curious, I may have missed this in an earlier meeting.
Mhm.
Is there any particular reason why that section of road was selected? Is that if we had particular
I have
traffic
the same question, but I have it.
There's two. The SS4A grant support letter has nothing to do
Yeah,
with
that's
what's
different.
road
Oh,
diet.
I'm sorry, the road dial.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
conflated,
two
sorry.
totally
Yeah.
separate things.
Sorry.
Okay, so, vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Tim. Seeing none, the motion passes unanimously.
And just to give you a FYI, the first selectman's office, I think, plans on sending out, those support letters, pretty soon, so.
Well, I think there was a deadline, wasn't
They're
it?
done. They've
April
sent them.
5th or something?
The selectman's office has sent them out to the state delegation and, a few other folks, too. RTM leadership.
Okay, just a couple more emails here. Let's see, that's that one. I sent to Tim and Dave just a real short note saying if you haven't, already, please take time to listen to the audio recording of the February meeting. I would ask anyone that does not attend the meeting to please, there's a lot of information in the audio that's not in the minutes. I'd like to see the minutes be streamlined according to Robert's rules. There's a section in Robert's rules that it's really basic stuff that belongs in the minutes, but the recording has all the good stuff. And I think, it'd be a good thing for any committee member that cannot attend a meeting to please listen to the recording of the minutes. So I hope everybody's okay with that. I'm not going to monitor or anything, just asking you to do it.
It seemed to be mostly about FOIA rather than standard.
It was about half and half. There was a lot of meeting stuff in there. You had some FOIA stuff too.
Yeah.
But it was good. I enjoyed it.
I found it helpful.
Yep. The last one I have is I sent a email to Jonathan Carilla, and it says, I am the chairman of the Fairfield Bike and Pedestrian. Can you please include me on any correspondence related to project 0050-0224, the road diet plan for US 1 in Fairfield? And he got back to me and said, good afternoon, Steve. In case you weren't made aware, the Department of Transportation will be presenting a public information meeting hosted by the town of Fairfield on April 25th at 7 p.m. I'm not sure where it is, but I would encourage everyone on this committee to attend. It's going to be a WebEx. I don't know the vehicle of, I'm sure it's obviously a live meeting, but it may be WebEx also, or Zoom or something like that, and I don't even know where it's going to be. Probably the Board of Ed, if I had to guess, where they had the training session. So if you could just sort of mark that date on your calendars, April 25th at 7 p.m. I think it's going to be a very important thing for as many people as we can to get to attend that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I just, you did send out an email to everybody with the information. It is gonna be on the 25th at the Board of Ed building, and it will be on WebEx.
Okay, all right, that's all. Okay, good. Okay, that's all I have. Next agenda item is 2024 goals update. Again, I think that, just off the top, I think that the fact that Dave resigned and he was kind of going to be participative in the month of May bicycle safety leaves a gap there that has a very short window. Mike, I'm gonna ask you, Mike sent me an email, tonight and share with the group what you're gonna be doing on, April 20th, I believe?
April 20th is Kids Day at the Fairfield YMCA. We're gonna be participating, along with Yale New Haven Health, accident prevention, fitting kids with free bicycle helmets, and adults as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is the third year in a row we have done that. 2 years ago, we did it down at the parking lot of Jennings Beach, and luckily we had great weather, so we had over 100 kids fitted that day. Last year it rained, we were driven inside, but I still outfitted probably 24 kids with helmets. And then the police will conduct like a bike rodeo. That part's not confirmed yet.
Anything about that, Frank?
No, but I'll jot it down.
Yeah.
That was, what's the date on that?
April 20th, I believe that's a Saturday.
But I think the bike rodeo is not gonna be the same day, or is it? Do you think it would be? Because I thought the bike rodeo was meant to coincide with the month of May and Bike Safety Month.
Yeah, I thought that's how we usually do it.
Yeah, the one in Jennings Beach was definitely in May,
It was definitely May.
2 years
yeah.
ago, yeah.
Mhm.
So, anyway, whatever you could find out, Frank, and if, I went to Jennings Beach 2 years ago, I went last year with Mike, and, it's helpful if we have, at least Mike can't do it all. I plan on going at this point, but, it's certainly worth stopping by, and I hope it's outside. I think it works much better outside.
Yeah,
It really does. And the rodeo's kind of a cool thing, they go through the pylons and stuff like that.
The only thing was our contact with the Yale New Haven Health had said that previously it had been done by the PAL, and that was not in existence anymore.
Yeah, that's not in existence anymore.
And that,
Right, that's correct, yeah.
so that part was kind of TBD.
Yep.
If you're aware of a different event, then,
Yeah, no, but I'll definitely look into it. What are the times on that?
it's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., relatively shortly.
I think the rodeo was sort of short too. I think it was about
Yeah.
maybe 10 to 2, something like
Yeah.
that. It was outside.
Not-
Well, I hope the rodeo can make a comeback. I'd sort of forgotten about Pal being the driver of that, but, if you were aware of anything within the PD, the safety, who was the fellow that came to our meeting that does the safety training at the schools, the officer there? I can't remember his name, 'cause we had quite a few. But anyhow, if you could look into that, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just shoot me an email and I'll let
Okay.
people know about that, but,
We're also gonna have the participation of, the Trek Bike Shop up on Black Rock, replacing East End Cycle Works had done the program for us for the previous 2 years, but bagged off this year. James, as the manager there, and, take the same kind of form, put up a 10x10 tent, help people with, fill air in their tires, which has gone flat over the winter, and, basic repairs or suggestions, recommendations, et cetera.
okay, anybody else on the goals? Tony, maybe a little bit, you wanna talk about, we had the meeting with,
Right, on the
Dave,
21st.
the three of us met with, the police.
If I could just rewind, because it's related to
Sure,
that.
yeah, absolutely.
About the video. The reason I was asking is because if we can actually upload the actual, video file to
Without a
our
link.
Facebook page, it'll be more widely, Facebook will more widely share it than if it's just a shared YouTube link. So whoever has possession of that and authority of it, if they could send me a Dropbox link or something like that.
Okay, yeah, I can
then I'll
ask
look at it.
Adam.
Yeah. Just the Facebook algorithm, and we'll share it a little more widely if they have a copy of it, and it's their posted video. Yeah. What we did, and Dave can of course elaborate on the legal issues on this, is trying to see that our website, our web page on the town website is as user-friendly and helpful as possible for people who have concerns about street issues, sidewalks, whatever. And so I've been going through it, and one of the things was that I think we could have more resources and links available there to the public and presented in a very user-friendly fashion. If they're feeling unsafe in a certain area, then where do they contact on that? they have been able to, up to a point, write us. You know, we had a Google form, but strictly speaking, my understanding is that the legal traffic authority has to be the police for first contact. That doesn't mean people can't ask us questions and we can't refer them, but we probably are not the best and most responsive entity for being the first point of contact with the town. We might be an additional contact or supplementary contact, perhaps. So I'm trying to refashion that page. We had a meeting with the police department and the chief of police and several staff members on the various ways they approach addressing public's inquiries and procedures that go about addressing them. And what I want to do with our page is present that in a simple and approachable fashion. Some of it will be duplicated as appears on the police web pages, but it would be winnowed down for our purposes and ours. I think that's the same thing with the building department for sidewalks and, you know,
DPW also.
Yeah. So I'm working on that now. Some of the town links were acting a little funky. So I'm still in the midst of that, and I'll probably call the police department to find out what's up with that, if I'm doing it wrong.
Well, perhaps the town could provide maybe just like 4 lines or something where, again, for sidewalk complaints.
Exactly.
Contact
That's the idea.
DPW, new sidewalk request engineering, traffic speeding issues, police department, you know, and then that way,
That's what I'm envisioning.
First,
Yeah.
you can provide the information and point them in the right direction. Yeah, that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, so a lot of that will be duplicated on other pages on the town website, but that's no problem. I mean, many paths, one destination kind of thing, or multiple options.
Yeah, I get the impression that the service request system is not functioning well. And that's
The
where,
online one.
right, and that's,
Yeah, I was having problems with it being mixed
and that's where it resides now.
Yeah.
So I think what we're trying to do is maybe just break away from that a little bit for the issues that are relevant to us, because I think in theory it's supposed to encompass like any kind of issue you have in the town, and that's fine in a sense, but somebody has to be reviewing that, and somebody has to keep on top of it, and somebody has to follow up and all that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if we, do our little thing off to the side of that, I think it'd be better off. Unless the town plans to rewrite the whole, fix it.
Did you try that link that I sent?
No.
Okay, so I'd like to call Officer Stalick. I think is that right?
Stahl?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I may address, please. S-T-E-H?
S-T-A-H-L. Stahl.
Stahl, yeah. Who handles
He does all our.
He's the PR.
Yeah, he does all our.
Yeah, and just go through and say, am I doing this right? Because I'm having problems. If I'm having problems, the rest of the public may have problems.
Well, Bill kind of alluded when I met with him to that it's broken. The service thing is broken.
Okay.
And I know I've put requests in personally for whether it's, cleaning out the Bill's aware of
Right.
catch basins, and it's been a year and they're still full on
Right.
my street, not from my house, but,
And there are a couple,
so it's broken.
Yeah, there's another link or two that are kind of odd on our own page. So I just want to go through it. I will present to the committee a proposed draft of changes for you all to consider.
And just keep it simple, so, I love the FAQs that the PD has. I think that's very helpful. The kind of do's and don'ts, and some things are really explained, so you don't have to get involved if you just read, the law, I'll call it, and sort of not waste your time in a sense and other people's time on things.
Well,
That's a big help.
My guess is that certain members of the public don't know where to turn. Mm-hmm. And this may be all very off-putting to people if they just don't know where they're around the town. So if our page can be of some assistance in simplifying where to enter into all of that, then so much the better.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Tim, you asked me to circulate a article about bike lanes are good for business, pretty extensive article. Did you want to talk about, I asked you I'd give you the opportunity to spend a couple minutes on that if you'd like, or not. I guess it pretty much relates immediately to the, the road diet on US 1. But it also is a general document for any road diet thing, so.
Yeah,
do you have any thoughts?
Well, it was for information for people, just so that we're more knowledgeable about the whole concept of bike lanes. And, there, a lot of times there is a response from folks that it's going to have a negative impact on businesses, but what the article says is in practice it hasn't. It's worked the other way. So, it's just knowledge for us to have, so when questions arise, we can answer them.
And Sarah sent, which I circulated, an email with various links in it to topics for road diet, et cetera, that I think is also valuable, especially prior to going to the meeting. So hope everybody can take the opportunity to look at that. Any other goals updates, or we move on to the next item?
If I may.
Yes, Dave.
As far as the speed table draft that I came up with a draft. I took several of the other towns' already established policies. They call them speed tables or speed humps, different names. We're going with the speed table.
Right.
And I came up with a draft and kind of cobbled those together and made it more Fairfield specific. And then I've been working with Bill. He's got a copy of it. He's going over. I gave a copy to the police chief and the traffic unit. They're going to be going over it. So hopefully soon I'll get some input back from them and we could sit down and tweak it and then, go decide what we want to do, where we want to go next, through the first selectman's office.
Well, I will say, when I was going over the goals with Bill, he did really like that one. I'll say. I mean, he liked them all, but he really sort of focused, because that'd be great if you can get something like that going. And,
so even, just as a pilot program, but at least
right.
My goal is to have a policy on the books as a tool for the police commission to use.
Yep.
And I understand there's concern about opening up Pandora's box, but they are the legal traffic authority, so they have the authority to say yes and no.
Yep.
And that's the final decision on whether a traffic table gets put in. And there's other things that can be done too, raised sidewalks, or raised crosswalks.
Yep,
things like that.
Stuff like that.
We aren't to that point yet, so everyone's reviewing it, and everybody's got a pretty, busy schedule going on. But the draft is done, they have it, and when we get some input, I'll bring it back, and then we can go to the next step.
Yep.
If the committee would like to do that.
Chief, in my review so far, I haven't seen anything drastic.
Mm-hmm.
The key thing is you don't want it to be so general where it's confusing and all that. It's pretty specific on what would apply and what wouldn't. So far, I haven't seen anything to comment on yet outside of whether we want to call things traffic calming or at Hoboken we saw a raised intersection, but it's essentially the same thing. It's just the difference. The speed hump might be 14 feet long, a table might be 22, and a raised intersection might be 50, as an example. It's really just the length that's different.
And in my draft, I know that the police commission is the traffic authority, but I kind of actually wrote it into it that, they would rely heavily on the engineering department to make sure that they're in compliance with federal guidelines. So that, somebody can't just pull something out of the sky and decide they want it in their neighborhood, that it's got to be in compliance with federal guidelines, or else it would be a no-go right off the beginning. So, but they've got it to review, and hopefully maybe by next meeting, we could have something that we can put the finishing touches on and go to the next step.
Yeah, I just want to circle back to, you brought up the Hoboken. I thought that video was really good. It was very well done by the gentleman from New Haven. I guess, who from the room went? You went? Okay. To me, it was somewhat eye-opening. The one that really caught my eye was just have no parking within 25 feet of the corner. My God, how simple is that?
Right.
That one just blew my mind.
It's the law, right? You can't have.
And it's, I guess.
People park there anyway.
Well, Dave shared a story.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah, okay. Dave shared a story.
Lighting is the term they use.
Yeah, about, when you were a motorcycle officer, how
Oh,
you
yeah.
used to give out 20 or 25 tickets a day or something, you know, for people that parked in
Right,
within 25 feet of
25 feet of a
hydrants.
stop sign or 25 feet of a crosswalk. The problem is we have locations in town where the state has actually put parking spots within 25 feet of a
Yeah,
crosswalk.
they're violating it
Or
already.
right, or,
Yeah.
but on Southport Center, my brother owns a store in Southport Center, right in front of Schweitzer's Pharmacy.
Yeah,
They're,
it's bad there too.
yeah, you know, people, and they're driving these big Tahoes and everything else,
Yeah.
the tail end of their cars,
Yeah,
covering the crosswalk.
yeah.
But the town put that crosswalk in there many, many years ago, and they had such limited parking, they took it away at one point. I don't know if you're, and they actually hashed it off, and there was such an outcry that they put it back in. So, and it's in violation of state law.
But, so I don't understand why the state feels they have the ability to do that on a state road in our town. Do you know, or no?
I mean, so many of them are just like, have been there so long.
Yeah,
And parking is at such a premium in Fairfield Center
yeah,
that they don't want to take a space away. Because if they really went to every single crosswalk, and you're not supposed to park 25 feet within an intersection, 25 feet of a crosswalk, 25 feet within a stop sign, if you really enforced all those, you'd lose a good number of parking spots.
Yeah.
but it doesn't only have to be on the main roads. I mean, I'm thinking, you know,
Yeah.
where, down by where I live, Reef Road and
Mhm.
Old Field Road and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah,
Where cars park, or Fairfield Beach Road, you know, why, you know, to me, it was very simply done too, just by painting,
right, you hash it off.
you know, wide paint stripes on there, you know, and the other thing I liked, they did the little like tubes that, you know, if you hit them, you're not,
Bollards are
ballards, yeah, where if you knock them over, it doesn't ruin your car and stuff, you know, but if you see it, you're generally not gonna try to park there, you know, so I think those are very effective,
I
you know.
think that was the big takeaway from the trip, is how many, like, really low-cost solutions
Yeah.
that
Yep.
they were able to implement that
Yep.
made a huge difference
Yep.
on how people drive and behavior. So to your point, like, the daylighting at the intersection is just paint, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And when there are intersections that are trickier, like Mill Plain, Umpqua, I know Bill's always like the drainage, it's like, well, actually, like, you don't have to move the sewer all the time, you can achieve the same goal of like making the intersection smaller by just, you know, concrete bump outs are better, but paint
Yep.
works too.
Yep.
And like, you know, nobody was driving in those areas that were painted. I didn't see one car the whole time.
I wonder how we could come up with a list, you know, of sort of recommended areas to do this in.
So if I can,
Yeah, sure.
I think, as part of the Safe Streets for All grant, if we get that money, there's been some conversations about, like, how do we get community engagement on, like, areas that they care about to do demonstration grants, so to do something like this. And through some conversations, it's kind of come up, maybe we should think about hosting, like, community meetings, right, like by district or something, so like each, like RTM district gets a community meeting where we can kind of get input from the community on like where they see issues, and then can kind of distill that down based on how much money we end up getting, how much goes to the demonstration grants, and kind of see where we can prioritize kind of doing that.
Yeah, that's
So
gonna be the hard part.
Right, so that's one idea, and I think I sent.
It's like, I'm sorry, sir, that's like, why aren't you paving my road and you paving this guy's road? I mean, you get into that, right?
Yeah, but you also give them options, as Sarah said, for a bulb out or a bump out.
Yep.
You could physically do a curb and then maybe put grass or something like that. If that's an issue, well, then another option is to just paint it and see how that works.
Yep.
And then another one is like a little bit of a combination where paint, and then you could do these delineators, bollards, or whatever. So there are, you could have a hybrid of it, and
then
one neighborhood might want one, and
Well, and I think to address your point, like, funding through the grant is also something, like, next year we can go back and ask for more, to get more demonstration money to do more things. So it's like, it's kind of just a first pass, if we get this and are able to use the money for that. But I think I sent to this, like, if we want to think as a committee about, like, a quick build policy, right? So, like, how else, like, what's important to the committee to prioritize? So if it's, like, by schools, if it's, like, a designated bike route, if it's from the town, if it's, there are other things people might have more ideas, and then kind of come up with our own principles that we want to use to prioritize too. You take that with the community input, and then you can say, like, this is how we're thinking about it, and this is why Street A is getting it instead of Street B, or things like that too. So,
You know,
The one thing about this grant is,
it's a federal
you know,
grant.
it's a federal grant, but it
Right.
allows you to do a pilot program. In the past, the MUTCD was, well, if you want to do a pilot program, you have to apply, you have to get state approval, this and that. Where this kind of grant, it's for the first time really giving you an opportunity to try something out. And one of the ideas when we're talking about wide area, Mega had done the steep grant at the across from the library and the banks there. And in the one area, when you come from, I guess, going eastbound from Sherman Green, and if you go take a right onto Old Post Road, that's a huge radius there. And for us to recurve it or create a bulb out kind of thing, it was gonna be like $100,000 by the time we had to do all the work that the state wanted. But perhaps, you know, painting it or something like that, or, you know,
And that's-
or giving it cross
so
hatches.
just to give you guys a little bit more, that's one of the areas we're proposing
Good to
in
know.
the grant to do a demonstration area. So because that intersection is so horrific and like, there's no, you know, it's hard to cross, it's hard to turn, it's hard to, you know, it's hard to be a driver, it's hard to be a pedestrian, and it's hard to be a cyclist. Like, it hits all of them.
I have a real basic question though. What authority do we have to do things on state roads?
So
That was my question.
So usually it's more of an uphill battle, but we've been told through conversations with like the state DOTs that with like this grant specifically, they're a lot more like open to it because it's supposed to be temporary. And it's not, you know, and it's supposed to help collect data from the community. It's supposed to help share awareness. So there is, because it's not permanent, I think there's a lot more leeway.
They're trying to create innovation is what they're
Right.
trying to do, so.
So we can kind of get away with it through the grant money instead of having to go through all the hoops. And like the state stuff, it's like, I think stuff can be done, it just takes longer usually, right?
It depends, yeah. So, and, you know, sometimes it means in a maintenance agreement or something like that. I mean, we were going back and forth with the state about the decorative crosswalks at, the Four Corners.
Yeah.
And it finally, you know, after 6 months, we finally convinced the state,
But it-
all right,
but it
we'll
got-
maintain them,
right,
you
it
don't have
got
to
done,
worry
yeah.
about it, you know, and all that, so. And again, it all depends what measure is chosen too, because some of them can get expensive, but that's where the grant takes a little bit of the money out of the equation, where I'm gonna just arbitrarily say it's 100,000 of, things that we can spend on, you know, the rest is gonna be design and analysis or something like that. And you might know more about it than I do. And is that about how much they were looking at in terms of materials like? Or?
Yeah, and then there's like a match from the town. And there could be things that we already have, right, that we don't have to purchase. So, which is also part of the point, like cones that we already have could be used in some situations.
Do we have, I guess a question mainly for you, do we have, or do we know in Hoboken or in the Manchester video, if any of those things that you folks looked at were on non-town roads? Do you know, or?
I don't know.
Or if they had
for sure.
issues?
Manchester, that's their main street, but I do think it might be a state road too.
Yeah.
Because I think there's.
That's my biggest
I only happen
fear.
to know that because my husband's from there, so. I'm not-
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
in Hoboken, I think, that I'm not sure. They didn't seem like state roads, but I don't know what that would look like in
Okay.
more of a city.
Again, that's kind of my biggest fear, that, you know, the
I
state
wouldn't
is gonna
worry.
get involved and, you know, take forever to get it done type of thing, and maybe we need to focus on
Well, the
non-state roads, although the biggest need is probably on the state roads,
Well,
because they have the highest traffic.
I
mean, so
think- I think for purposes of this
That's 22.
particular grant and like this demonstration money we're getting, one of the roads is a state road. I think the other two that we're looking at just as proposing, temporarily, and again, it's very broad still, and like, there's gonna be a lot that kind of goes into deciding where they actually end up. But I think if we get into it and it's a headache, like, we can always kind of pivot too. Like, I don't think for this particular thing, we should worry too much about the state road piece.
Now, do we know the approximate amount of the grant money that would become, awarded to us? Is
So
there-
we're asking for about 450.
Okay,
A portion of, the bulk of that though is to get to engage a consultant to conduct a safety analysis that's specific to the entire town. So I don't know.
okay.
MetroCog, I guess, has a safety analysis plan, and Bill can chime in if I say anything wrong. But that's for the greater area. This would be one specific to Fairfield. So the initial grant is to just get money to engage a consultant who's gonna do the analysis of.
So 100% of the 450 is intended to go to consultants?
So 450, and then another, I think 50 is demonstration money. So it could be a little
Yeah.
bit
Okay.
more. Or
So,
You're in the ballpark,
less.
So 450 consultant, 50 for demo?
Approximately.
And round.
Yeah.
and the town is expected to match both of those, or just the 50?
No, it's 20% of the overall grant money.
yeah. The exact numbers, if I remember.
It depends what you're awarded
The
to.
whole thing is 540, 20% of that would be town cost, the rest, the government would give us, federal government give us, so that.
So it'd be the 540 less the 20%?
432
We
is
get
the
the,
actual
got it,
amount of the
okay,
grant.
okay.
Sorry,
Out of that
the numbers have changed
Yeah, I know.
recently
Well,
too.
I
the
just-
actual 432.
We can get you the actual numbers if you need
I just
them.
want an idea. I didn't know if it was $1 million or $100,000.
No, it's about half.
Yeah.
Would that consulting money identify some of these problem areas
Yeah.
we were just,
Right.
so that would start it right off?
Well, yeah, I think it would be, it's kind of the idea is for it to happen in tandem, so we don't have to wait for the consultant to do the analysis. Like, we can do the demonstrations based on, like, information we already know, issues that have been raised to the town, over the course of the year, things that, like, people were looking to do. It doesn't.
I mean, if I had to guess, I've worked for a town, and, when you hire consultants, I'm gonna say it's a minimum of a year from when you have the funds allocated to putting it out to bid, to getting the work done, the reports, the approval, the changes, all that stuff, so.
Yeah, there has been
Unfortunately,
some
it's
work
not-
done already to kind of get ahead of the bid, like,
By who?
those of us working on the grant. So
Oh.
Jeff Randolph and Sarah Roy have been talking to a couple different consultants to try and get just so we have good numbers too, so we know, like, what to ask for to have, that's gonna be a viable thing to have a consultant.
The last question I have, actually, are there any other grant monies available for similar type of stuff from the state? This is federal. There were,
I think one was going around that was just a minor one. It's not like a major, it was just for the bike helmets and bike racks.
Yeah, that one
for
was due
bike.
pretty soon, yeah.
Yeah, it's
The first
actually
round.
next week,
Yeah.
I think.
So Bill, do we know if that's on
I sent an email out, I don't know, if I've gotten any replies, I still haven't read all the emails, but for the most part, I haven't gotten any feedback yet from anybody in the
Okay.
school. I was hoping the Board of Ed or Santina or somebody might say, and I kind of even informally polled the group here last month or the month before on helmets or,
Tina, do you have any?
I asked Terry last week, because we were meeting on the Safe Streets grant, and she wasn't sure, but I didn't know if that
Yeah.
changed.
If there's a good thing, is they have it like 3 times a year, so if for some reason
Okay.
we're not at this April or with March deadline, they have it again in July and again in September, so.
Okay. Tina, are you aware of any grants I know that one that you spent a lot of time on got rejected, right? But is there anything else in the hopper or, relative to? No?
Not that I've heard of from the state, and I only deal with the Department of Public Health, but not that I've heard of.
Okay, our grant, her name is it Terry Brown, the grant? Okay. Is her job function for grants across the entire town, or does she have specific areas?
No, any grant, she's a grant writer.
So if there's a police department grant to get bulletproof vests or something, she gets involved in that? Okay, all right.
For the police, yeah.
So working with her though, I think that we should, as a committee, probably pursue the micro grant for the helmets and other things. the way it kind of worked, my experience with her in the last one is she relies heavily on like the subject matter people, and she kind of just like oversees the coordination, making sure that like everybody is giving what they need, and then she inputs it into whatever system it needs to be inputted to. She does more than that. She's got a lot of good feedback and stuff too, but just if you're asking for the...
But she would have the awareness of a grant, and I would assume she would come to the committee and say, hey...
So Bill brought this one to the committee two months ago.
No, I'm asking additional ones, though. Like, is there, if something were to come, I'm just trying to figure out how the system works. If something were to come across her desk, would she reach out to me or Bill and say, you know, you guys, this is something we would be interested in pursuing, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Or conversely, if we or Mega had come across something, Terry, can you follow up on this? Because a lot of times, again, depending on the grant, it might mean research. Can you get a sneak peek of what they're looking for? Because there's one of the grants, it was called Raise Grant. Oh, it sounded really good. You get $5 million, wasn't that? But you needed, the application was this much. If Connecticut gets one, for the whole state, it's a lot. And you have to do a cost-benefit analysis, which is basically like a 6-month, and it's just like, really, unless really, you know, but that's one grant. Other grants, especially the state grants, are a lot easier to get. And so, you know, we've gotten steep grants. Mega's worked on steep grants. There's a transportation alternatives grant that's coming up.
We did one on McLean School as well.
Yep, connectivity grant. And as a matter of fact, we just met with Sacred Heart and
we're doing Metro Park grant that they're going to
file. Park Avenue and Sacred Heart.
Yeah, Tim, you're still on the call, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's Tim's, you know, sort of goal to try to, you know, get us in line with Sacred Heart or work with them to work on Park Avenue and Jefferson Street to get bike lanes and sidewalks.
Wasn't there a meeting up at Sacred Heart with some people, maybe a couple, was it last month or the month before?
Yeah, we had one was it yesterday? I can't lose track of the
Tuesday we had a meeting, it was just, you know, for the traffic signals and
So what is the status of that project?
The status of the project is that we're moving forward with the signals to upgrade and make the signals handicap accessible and more modernized. And then there's 3 or 4 other components with sidewalks and some other stuff that up towards the Merritt Parkway and down by the radio station. And some of that is, MetroCog's gonna be looking for state grant or state bond money.
Yeah.
And they'll have a good idea by the first week of May?
End of May, I would say, not even first week.
They're going for about $1 million in grant money.
Yeah.
So.
Have they talked about bike lanes?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are bike lanes, it's all pedestrian improvements, hawk signals, bike lanes, sidewalks, racetracks.
Are they?
Decorative crosswalks, the traffic signal, hawk signal, sorry. So those are multiple improvements that they have, that we are proposing.
Yeah.
Jefferson and Park Avenue.
Can you, Tim, I hope you're okay with, you know, maybe participating in some of that. If not, maybe another member of the committee, because I think it'd be valuable.
I'd love to be involved.
Yeah, so can you sort of loop Tim in as starters, and if he can't make it, somebody else, I'd go or whatever, just to keep us, you know, aware of what's going on.
I think I have his contact, but if you want to send me or Megan, actually, the contact information.
You can send it to me and copy Bill on that.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
the contact person right now for all this stuff.
I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
Oh, okay, sorry. But yeah, there's like short-term, mid-term, and then long-term planning for that whole area.
It's a good comprehensive planning, which MetroCog in combined is actually coordinating with Bridgeport, Fairfield, and Trumbull. So and Sacred Heart. So they're MetroCog is a centerpiece. They're coordinating with each one of us and developing a plan for these improvements. So Park Avenue, improvements along Park Avenue, and I think section of Jefferson, I presented to the Police Commission 3 months ago for the improvements that Sacred Heart had proposed. Some of the improvements are approved by Police Commission, like fog lines for bike lanes, rumble strips, hawk signals, which is actually for further studies. Raised crosswalk, I will be studying that raised crosswalks because we had issues with drainage. So that's that once the studies are completed, which I have found the drainage issues are there. So we'll find an alternative. So some are approved by Police Commission, and then we have presented to MetroCog. Some are proposed by MetroCog. Some are proposed by Bridgeport. So everybody's working on it.
Is Sacred Heart willing to put any skin in the game? I mean,
Yes.
Okay, so, getting back to the grant question, is there any grant money available? And then if not, would it be participated between Sacred Heart and the town of Fairfield and town of Bridgeport to kind of
Yes.
fund this thing?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. As Bill said, that MetroCog is already applying for the state bonding money for it's around $2 million for some of the sections, and some is coming from ARPA funds, and something is that we are going to share. So it's a combination of everything, and something we are going to also talk with Bridgeport, which MetroCog is going to set up a separate meeting with them. So this is how we are looping in all these improvements.
Who's the head of MetroCog now?
Matt Fulda.
Is he affiliated with the town? No?
No, he's in charge.
So he's like the director of
He's director, and the 6 mayors or
Right.
selectmen report to him.
Okay.
Because the state doesn't have county government, so essentially MetroCog is like the transportation county government.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, any finish up on the SS4A grant? Any other information anybody'd like to share, or now we can move on to the next topic? Okay, seeing none. The next one on the list, I jumped a little bit around, but Road Diet US 1, I think we talked about that. I think that meeting is very important to go to. I think there's a lot of open questions people have. I'm sure there's going to be people there that are going to be against it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be, I think, pretty valuable. I think it was Tony or Dave, somebody mentioned to me earlier, I'd love to know I have the same question. How did they pick that section?
Oh, that was my...
Oh, that was you?
I was wondering.
But I mean, that's the type of question
I
that
presume the meeting will illuminate that.
Yeah, right. We'll see.
But I just figured someone here might know.
Yeah, actually, I do.
Yeah.
The police commission and engineering worked together. It might even had some input, to be honest, with the bike and ped committee at that time to look at improvements. That section is considered part of the East Coast Greenway if you don't take the Harbor Road and, that area there, because I know there's one bike route that wants to go from, Stanford or to Bridgeport. And so that stretch there has also been a hot topic for police enforcement. There's no traveling, there's nothing to slow you down for like a 2-mile stretch. And so in 2020, we had approached the state. The police commission had approved the road diet concept, but it being a state road, the state had to go with it. They made a plan and then kind of just sat there for a while, but when they made the announcement of they're going to pave Route 1, it came back to light, and now they're actually splitting the pavement up into 2. One section, which they're going to do, I think, next month or so, they're going to start on Route 1 from like the Chick-fil-A to Beaumont Street, and then after they hold the meeting, then they'll do from there to Southport, So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really important that the committee, through social media or whatever, get information out, about why this is a good thing, why, a lot of the intuitive reactions about, more traffic and, slowing everybody down are, not actually, founded in actual data, and, helping to, shape the narrative that this is, a good project for the town.
Through the chair.
To your point, you look on Nextdoor, when this thing came out, oh man, it was 5 weeks of, it wasn't the end of the world. So that might be another venue for us to project our,
Yeah.
You're on there, I see your name
I'm
on
not
there.
on next door, but
You're
I've
active.
heard that there was a lot of, and like, I think next door, I think there's a lot of like elderly residents, that's where they get their news too. That's what I've heard, I don't know.
Well, there's two road diet, other ones in the hopper, they're in the design, and that's, Grassmere and Post Road area. And we're gonna go 4 lanes to 3, it's gonna be a little bit different, the volumes didn't work for our standard double left turn lane there, but it'll be 2 and 1, but again, shorten and narrow the road. And then the other section we're looking at is, by Kings Highway, between Villa Avenue and Tungus Hill and Moody Avenue, to basically the Bridgeport line, that section there. We're ready to give the go-ahead to a consultant to do that design.
Yeah.
So, that's gonna be used as our kind of model for the next 2, I'm sure, so.
Yes, Dave?
To your point, though, I'd like to play devil's advocate as a committee. Before we endorse anything, shouldn't we find out a little bit more about it? I know everybody's been sending emails and, there's information floating back and forth, but we're gonna actually have a meeting on the 25th of April.
Right.
Where we can sit and ask questions. I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves to endorse it. I'm personally not convinced it is a good idea. And I know there are a lot of people that are thinking the same way, and a lot of people that I've talked to in our community, I mean, I've been here a long time, a lot of other people have been here a long time, they don't think it's a good idea. So there's 2 sides to this issue, and I'm not comfortable jumping on and saying, I think it's a good idea. I'm definitely not comfortable with saying a bike lane is a good idea.
Yeah,
I travel that road probably 50 times a week.
have those details been addressed yet? Or those are possible considerations?
They'll show you plans and the concepts that they had.
All right, so they already have this.
They informally showed us, but I don't even think we were allowed to, share it. They want to present it, everything.
look, I think one thing comment I'm gonna make is that, road diets are not 100% successful. Okay, you can Google it, Google unsuccessful road diets, okay? And I think that we need to be aware of that it's not the right thing for all locations. And I'm not shooting it down, but I'm just saying that, we need to be a little careful. I agree with Dave on this, that we're doing it in the right place, okay? And that it does not affect more people negatively than it does positively. I certainly understand the safety issues and all that. And I have one other interesting question. Is Commerce Drive considered a road diet by the car dealers? Because to me, that's how I envision it. You have 2 lanes, you have a center lane where they actually park the tractor trailers and unload the vehicles and stuff, so.
We're not supposed to do that though either. That's
Oh, is it, yeah? Okay.
Operating unregistered.
But other than that, just the striping, the striping part of it.
It's sort of, originally, they widened the road, and they were gonna have it in 2 lanes in each direction. And, the town decided, let's not do that, let's do this concept of a road diet for it. So if you compare it to what it was, it's technically not a road diet, but if you compare it to the proposal of 2 lanes in each direction, they changed it to make it the road diet.
Yeah, 'cause every time I drive down there, I kind of feel like it's a good setup.
Yeah, well, good, according to FHWA, it's a proven road safety measure, I think it's 17 to 42%.
Last question, are there any other streets?
There's a huge, that's a big number though, I think.
Excuse me, thank you. Are there any other road diet Commerce Drives in the town of Fairfield currently? Or is that kind of the only one that's in existence, right?
Yeah, I only see that.
I don't drive every street, so I wouldn't know, but.
Trying to think of.
Probably not, if you can't think about top.
I don't think,
okay.
because actually, if I come across, I'll just email you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, Sarah?
No, I was just gonna say the same point, like the road diets are proven to reduce crashes, by almost 42% in some cases. So, I think everybody on the committee should really, start to research road diets and, through the stuff I sent. If there's counter arguments, I'd like to see those, just because I think, I think it's important.
Like
for
I
the
said,
town.
you can Google unsuccessful road diets and it'll pop up cities and it'll explain to you why they didn't work in those cities, because it doesn't work in 100% of the cases, as was stated by a committee member last meeting, and that's just not true.
Two questions. Number one,
Well, it's not. You could,
I'm not saying 100% of the cases, I'm saying like.
that was
you know,
stated last month. Worldwide, it's been successful in 100% of the cases, so that's not a true statement. So we gotta be careful what we say, without having sufficient knowledge of, the statistical success rate or whatever you wanna call it.
So I think what Anya was talking about in that instance was, does it increase traffic? And I think it has been proven that it doesn't increase the amount of time it takes you to get from point A to point B by reducing the number of lanes. So I think that's what she was talking about. Maybe I'm misremembering, but that's what I thought it was. I think, like, even if it's not 100%, there's still a huge benefit to road diets. And I just think we can all, hash it out and have a conversation about it. But I think that and, protected bike lanes are something we should all be able to kind of agree on. It's basic principles of traffic calming. That's my view.
Yeah, but again, for my 2 cents, protected bike lanes I think are great, but they need to be in the right location. I mean, you don't just put, I don't think a road.
The best way though is, I think everybody here says, to be informed, learn up about it, and attend the meeting, so you can hear it directly.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly admit, I don't know enough about it, and success and all that stuff, and how that would all work, but, I think that, maybe by next month's meeting, we'll have,
there are some
after our
concerns
April
about
meeting,
it.
yeah.
I'm down to one question. We'll learn more about this road diet, what is proposed, and so on, and then we can discuss it. My question is, in terms of public communications, does the opinion and position of this committee necessarily follow that of our town government? In other words, is our position to be the same as the first selectman's office?
I think in a democracy,
Is that how this works?
No.
In terms of our charge?
Yeah.
As a committee?
Yeah. I don't think we necessarily have to accept or take direction directly from the selectmen.
No, I'm not taking direction. In other words, are we supposed to be in synchronism necessarily, in terms of public positions?
I think that's the best way it would work.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't think it can work that way 100% of the time, no matter what the situation is. So.
I mean, I would suggest that if you have comments or whatever, and whether you vote as a group, and either support it or don't support it, or just say you have concerns, that's part of the, quote, public input process, is what I would think, so.
Sure. But in terms of announcements and positions of this committee on social media and elsewhere,
Yeah. Well, again, I think that we're gonna,
just as a matter of,
I think we're gonna learn a lot, Michael, and that's why I really want everybody to go to that meeting, or at least watch it on WebEx, because I think we're gonna have, we're all gonna learn a lot, hopefully.
Maybe we can publicize the meeting on our social media.
Yeah,
so that
that's a good idea.
sure.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Who's presenting?
Thank you.
Jonathan Carrill, he's gonna be the presenter?
I don't know.
The state's running the show.
It.
Yeah.
We don't do it, we're invited.
Yeah,
But as public, we can always go, but whether we'll be, they're running the show.
Only if you live in Fairfield.
But on that break, if you don't mind, Vega and I still have to talk about something non-bike and ped related, and then I got a lot to do, and she does.
Sure, yep.
We're gonna probably leave unless there was a specific question.
Do you have anything else you want to share with the group before you leave?
Just out real quick was that the state has plans on paving 3.9 miles of Route 58, and they plan on
Can you tell me where?
Actually, Route 50, the whole thing, pretty much. It's from Route 1 all the way to, past the town line, basically, yep.
All of Black Rock?
All Black Rock Turnpike, basically, yeah.
And, they had a list of 32, maybe 32 or 30, it's over 30, intersections that they were going to improve, for the project. 25 of them are in Fairfield. So they'll be doing 25 new concrete sidewalk or handicap ramps, so.
Okay, great.
That's good news.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask Phil a question?
Sure, yep.
This actually came up today. I was with somebody who lives on Reading Road, and maybe you addressed it at a meeting. I missed last meeting, so maybe you addressed it. He was talking about a rotary being put in?
Yes, I am designing that, and that
Oh,
will
okay.
be coming.
Whereabouts?
This guy's house is like 2 houses away.
Cross Highway? Where?
It's
Reading Road.
Dunham Avenue, there is like
Dunham,
island,
I know where
so
it's
we are kind of putting a rotary,
Roundabout.
a roundabout.
roundabout, yeah.
That is in-house design, so we'll be
Is
putting.
that as a result of you trying to do some traffic calming
Yes,
on
we
Reading Road?
go there
Okay.
for audits, and then we observe all the traffic over there, so we think the rotary will be
Tom? Yes.
better.
Same kind of question. They're gonna state's gonna pave 58. There had been talk about rotaries on 58. Is any of that gonna bubble up now, the way that the road, this road I think bubbled up when they talked about paving Route 1?
I don't think so, because they call this a thin friction wearing course. I don't think they're going as, milling and reconstructing.
Oh, so this is
half an inch, yes.
Maintenance,
Yeah.
when you have a maintenance, then they don't consider any kind of like, road that, they don't think that.
So this is not the mill and everything
No,
else,
no,
it's
it's
just a,
not a
If
rehab.
it is,
this
it's.
is me doing my driveway with a little black.
If they say 3/4
Yeah.
inch,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, great, thank you. One last real quick question. Hold on, sir. The right-of-way, what's it called? The
Manual.
manual, yes. Can you just give us a rough status of that and when you expect the draft to be
We
completed?
are going to have a meeting first with Mr. Gerber to exactly know his viewpoint on it.
So you have a
But
certain,
then we will discuss how we are going to put forward. We have a lot of.
I mean, have you started putting it together?
It'll take 12 months,
Well,
actually.
yeah, that's where I was going.
It's actually a 1 year we are anticipating to finish. Because
Okay,
it's a
all right.
whole town right away manual.
Great, thank you. Sir, I'd like to reserve public comment. There's a public comment section on here.
Question for the engineer.
Go ahead. First of all, state your name and your
My name
address.
is Robert Rifle, I live on Blake Drive, my family lives in this town. Mill Plain Road, the entrance to I-95, I understand pedestrians were killed there a few years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so last time I was at one of these meetings, several years ago, there was a discussion about putting a crosswalk there, and it's a state road, right?
Mill Plain Road is a town road, but the highway ramps that go up, they're considered state.
And there's no crosswalk there.
Yeah, yes, there are. On the entrance and exit.
It just happened in September.
Yeah, they put them in about 2 months ago, or less.
Yeah.
But it just went,
Decker had done a design about 6.
Yeah, they have
How long,
to solve
it
it.
took a long time, right?
Yeah,
It took a long time for a lot of different reasons, yeah. Originally, we were proposing only one crosswalk at that location, and I'm like, if you go with a systemic approach, well, if it happened here, it could easily happen at all the other ones, and so the one crosswalk became 6. Obviously with COVID and all that, we needed DOT approval. We finalized, got the approval in July of last year, and it still took a long time. We did the handicap ramps, and then like 3 or 4 months later, it came in with the crosswalk.
North Benson Road, there's one for interest there?
North Benson Road, I would have to check on that. I don't know.
I almost got killed there once.
Oh, okay, I'll mention that one.
That's the bad one, yeah, right.
yeah, and I have one final question.
Is that the one that has like a triangle and it goes up, that ramp?
You go under the bridge and there's no room to get under the bridge because there's no shoulder.
No sidewalk.
And then,
Oh, if you're talking about the railroad bridge, not I-95.
I'm talking about getting onto I-95.
Oh, okay, right.
No.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
That's a state road.
State road.
Hey, just,
Well, we will forward that. Yeah, I'll forward that.
Phil, one final comment on the crosswalks that took forever to get done. I don't know what kind of paint they used, but it's pretty much worn off already.
Epoxy.
And that's not epoxy, I don't think.
No, that was the deal.
I don't think it's epoxy, but, can we just go in there and do it without, like, put the epoxy down without them having to get involved? Seriously, because it's a joke. I mean, to your point, you may not even notice them, but they were painted 2-3 months ago at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the traffic, they're hard to see again. and they need to be reflective, they need to be epoxy reflective. I don't get how you can be so cheap and put house paint on a freaking crosswalk. But my question, Bill, is can we do that
As a town.
without asking permission of the state to put down epoxy?
The answer would be no, because it is the state, it's an ownership thing, there's legal ramifications. However, can we ask the state for a permit where we, being DPW, would do the work or hire a contractor, put it in, then they would grant us permission, and then they would say, now you own the crosswalk. So now that becomes a little battle, but I'm not,
But
you know.
it's sad that after 3 years, it's relatively invaluable in my opinion.
Mhm. We could, but based on that comment, we would forward it to the state, ask them to.
Robert, maybe you didn't realize that there's paint on there, to be fair.
I would suggest
You know,
that.
it's that bad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, the signs are nice, they did a nice job on the signage, but the paint's like ridiculous.
Notifying DOT would be a good idea, so they know what exactly paint, stupid paint, like crappy paints there. And
Maybe that
it's not
contractor
working.
has.
Yeah, exactly, and it's so, contractor may not
Or
have
those
done the
strips
double
that I
coats
brought a
and
sample
everything.
in,
I still have it in my
a
room.
year and a half ago, a little raised and it's reflective and you run over with in Reading, they ran it over with the tires from the dump truck. You didn't need a steamroller or anything like that, you know, you just run it over and it holds up from plowing, it's, whatever, enough said. Okay,
But yeah, we would ask the state for permission
Okay.
if we went that. I'll approach my DPW, director, but most likely he's gonna say it's the state, forward it to the state.
But-
And
But that's Megan's point, let them know that
Yep.
a crappy job has been done and maybe.
I'd be happy to write a letter
It's
if
just
you're,
a quality assurance.
contact somebody.
Sometimes they just do one layer and they're being told, hey, do the 4 layers of this to run for this many. It's just so I think the best would be to notify the state so they think about it, because ultimately they're paying for this, you know, wearing and tearing and installing on the property.
You know,
I think if you send Megger and I an email, we will forward it to the state.
Yeah.
And with our
Okay.
backing, you'll have, kind of give it a 1-2 punch.
okay, yeah.
And then we'll also base it on, for this job.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm unhappy with the paint job on the crosswalks, so that's really how it started.
I would
and
just notify state and let them take care of it.
see what happens.
And you never know, they might say, that's the third complaint in the last week about that contractor.
Yes,
Ooh.
exactly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 complaints easily.
Hey,
You never know.
Frank?
Yeah, I have one thing I wanted to ask you. Have you gotten a call from us about the complaints that, come up at Stratfield Road, the new crosswalk situation because of the way they did the phasing?
We're still investigating that. We have, Meg and I had a talk with the DOT on that. It's not just simply put it back if that's the way that the town or whatever wanted it. It's the direction that the country has been going with, they call it concurrent phasing.
Yes.
And that's the way, and including a lot of the ones that they're doing on Route 58. The state is only, Connecticut and Hawaii are the only ones that do exclusive. Well, the rest of the country goes with these concurrent ones. And so, there's a push now to slowly, go away from exclusive to go to concurrent. And so, we are working with the state. We'll contact our consultant and get more information on it and see if it's something that the town.
Just-
Most likely it's gonna require a 3 or 6 month study, because a lot of times it's because people aren't used to it. And then once they get used to it, then.
So basically, though, with the way it's working now is that when a pedestrian is in that crosswalk, the light turns green before they get to the other side, right?
So they get like the head start.
Because I mean, we've been getting numerous complaints to the point where that's why I think one of our sergeants had contacted.
Yeah.
I did, actually, I've been in contact with Sergeant Com on this
Yeah.
one. And I reached out to the state, and the state is, and one of the constituents, I think one of the project engineer in our office, he reached out to the constituent, he spoke to them. But happening is, right now, state is investigating. That's what their answer is, and they need time. That's the only answer, because of the state jurisdiction. So kind of have a patience on this, because they don't make like
Are having issues.
they don't have immediate solutions, because they are testing what they have installed, and when they install, they're already approved by DOT officials. So they have to, when they want to make a change, they have to do investigations. It's kind of we have been following with them
Okay.
throughout with
Yes.
district. So, you know, to your point, I'm going to reach out again tomorrow.
I know, I think that, they also contacted Taiwan or something like that to see if he could have any input.
Well, as I said before, a lot of traffic signals go that way. It's just that if you've been using that intersection for how many years, you're used to hitting the button and
Correct.
everybody stops.
Right.
And now it's only the
Right.
roads that you're crossing stop.
Yeah.
And so if you get a car that does a quick right, which
That's
that's
what
why they
happens,
put all
yeah.
the signs up, yes, the pedestrian, you're supposed to do that.
Right.
It's the way New York City's been having it for how many years, you know, they don't have exclusive ped phase, they never have. And then that direction, so it might just be an educational thing.
Right.
But if, just hypothetically,
For the
4 or
driver.
5 months from now, we're still getting tons of complaints, we do a little sneak peek at, you know, either near misses or accidents or crashes, then that might be enough ammunition to say, switch it back.
Yeah.
After 3 months, people get used to it, there's been no recorded anything, you know, then it's gonna be hard to switch back, so.
It's just a investigation.
Okay.
Best way, but thanks, we've gotten a lot.
I figured I'd bring that one up.
Yeah, no, it's
I
not.
thought that would be something.
I just figured I'd explain.
Yeah.
All right.
We'd explain.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, thanks.
Sorry to keep you a little later.
Okay.
Mike? Yep, we'll see you. Frank, do you have anything else from,
That's it,
any
that
report?
was really one of the
Okay.
things that we were getting.
Save the best for the last. Tina, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, right, all right. Do you have anything you'd like to share with the committee?
Yeah, so just two things. I did follow up with police asking if they were giving out reflectors that I think we talked about in the last meeting. It was not handing them out. So they're not aware of any organization or group that was handing them out. And then
You talk about the
lastly,
vest?
yeah, I think didn't we talk about that last month? That you
Yeah,
thought
Dave
that
sent me something. Dave sent me something about a picture with people holding up the vest and talking about. Wasn't that?
What town was that? It was,
Oh, it wasn't Fairfield?
well, no, it wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
It
okay.
was New Milford.
New Milford,
They
okay.
got state
Oh,
money to
okay.
do it.
Oh,
But
okay.
he said they got state money to do it, so.
Okay. And then the only other thing is I think I heard you guys talking about that you're going to be at Healthy the Y on the 20th. We are handing out the pedestrian reflectors, the bike reflectors, and the coloring books. So it'd be great if maybe our tables can be next to each other at that event. So if I heard that correctly, I will reach out to the organizer and see if they can put us next to each other, if you guys are okay with that.
Okay. And what's the location of that? Is that the Y again?
Yep, it's going to be at the Fairfield Y.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
And that's it from me.
What is it being called? Is that the bike rodeo?
Mike just left.
Well,
It's got what's the name of that?
Said Kids Day.
It's
Healthy Kids Day.
Yeah. Healthy Kids Day.
Healthy kids.
Healthy. Yeah.
Oh, those ones.
All righty. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Anything else, Tina?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Let's see, health engineering. Mary cannot attend. She emailed me today, so no report there. Okay, next topic is new business. Any new business anybody would like to bring up, or?
I'd just like to note that our little Facebook page in 5 months has grown 15%
Great.
since we revamped it, so. And we'll get on the Instagram too.
Great.
Over 15, actually.
I admit I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to Facebook and stuff like that. I really don't look at it, but when you posted those videos, I know I get notifications.
I haven't posted the videos yet.
Okay, but when you do,
Yeah.
does a notification go out somewhere that there's like a new video, or how do people know?
Sometimes you'll get a notification. It depends on how widely Facebook shares, and depends on your behavior and how much you post. And the only way to really guarantee it is to buy, ad time or ad space on Facebook, which is another thing.
But everybody should like and share, and then that way it'll get more traffic.
Yeah, so we've been increasing our the institutions and organizations we're following, so it increases the chances that when we do a post, that and we share it with them, that they're gonna see it.
Yep.
Because Facebook shows such a tiny percentage, if you're not paying for it. But the more active you are, they reward you.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
getting a little more
Good.
active.
I didn't know that.
Being a
How that
little
worked.
rewarded.
Anybody else? No? Public comment? Do you have a public comment?
My name is Robert Reifel. I'm a cybersecurity, information technology, and social media expert.
You want to join the committee?
You have to post everything on the town website first. If you do something later on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or Nextdoor, that's fine. Has to be on the town website, because you don't have to log into the town website. You don't have to join anything. You don't have to hand over any information to billion-dollar corporations who will misuse your information. You have to do it on the town website first.
What?
Don't even think of doing it on Facebook or Instagram, both owned by Meta, unless you have it on the town website first.
So that includes
Is it
things
gonna
like...
cross-reference, I'm sorry, may I ask?
Sure, go ahead.
We're gonna cross-reference, that to see if our posting is legitimate?
If you put it on the town website, it's official town information. If you put it on Facebook, they can just we don't want people to see this because you used a word that they didn't like. And the algorithm will kill it, and no one will see it. And what we can do is have email sign-up for various departments on the town website that, okay, there's a new post about this committee, it's gonna send me an email and tell me that there's a meeting or there's some other business that's going on, they're handing out helmets or whatever. If you do it on Facebook, Instagram, Nextdoor, Reddit, anything where you're not signed up, you're not gonna see it. For instance,
They're not gonna share it as widely or not at all.
It's random. You have no idea what the algorithm is.
Yeah, you're right.
You could use a word. You could just use any word that suddenly they decided they didn't like.
But can't they do that for the town website also?
No, the town website is owned by the town, totally unrestricted, uncensored.
Okay.
Unless the town wants to censor something.
Okay.
There's a great example. There was a software engineer named Isis Anchely, and she got banned from Facebook and Twitter when ISIS invaded Iraq and Syria.
Yeah.
And she's just a woman from California who is a software engineer.
Yeah.
And they can just do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They overtreat my security.
It's incomprehensible what they actually do. So
thank you.
Yeah, that's good information. I appreciate that.
Anything you do on the town website, get better webmasters or whatever if need be, but do that. Now, 25 years ago, I stopped driving. I bike every day, bike or walk. So it's 3 miles from my house to Stop and Shop, 3 miles back. Go there a couple times a week. My main complaint, which I've been trying to get fixed for these 25 years, people don't shovel the sidewalk on Route 1, anywhere in the business district. Okay, I understand if you're on a side road and you're an elderly homeowner, you can't do that. But in front of Rite Aid, repeatedly, it has never been shoveled. I've even tweeted at about this, and I did get a police officer to finally write a ticket this winter. I had to go down there, and I met him in the Rite Aid. I said, please, my neighbors are blind. They're totally blind. Mm-hmm. They walk with white canes from Patrick Drive downtown, I don't know where they work, but back and forth twice a day, and I've seen them stumble over ice and snow drifted up with pristine parking lots, and then snow piled up on the sidewalk.
Well, just so you know, we are addressing that as a committee. We've set short-term goals one for each member of the committee, and Vice Chairman Tom's goal is specifically that to, I think you want to, we're going to talk about...
And also, besides the sidewalk, if you have a bus stop, they never shovel that. It's one of the two reasons I joined this committee. A couple of winters ago when we had snow constantly, I would see all the people, especially some of the older ladies who worked up at McDonald's, standing out on the post road, waiting for the bus at night, by what used to be the People's Bank, now it's the M&T Bank,
Mhm.
by Beach Road. And because they couldn't get over the ice wall to get onto the bus, so they, and it's not part of it.
Now, here's the thing, the problem is solved. The town ordinance says the sidewalk has to be cleared, or an abrasive has to be scattered on ice within 24 hours after the storm ends. And the town ordinance also says, it shall be the duty of Fairfield Police Department to write tickets for everyone who doesn't clear the sidewalk. It's a $99 ticket. We could have a police officer just walk down the street. It's not gonna take many years before everybody realizes if you can have someone shovel your parking lot, you can have them shovel the sidewalk. I don't understand why the police department is not fulfilling their duty.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I was gonna refer to you. Dave?
First of all, I think we're outside of our lane here. This is not our venue to do this.
This is my venue to complain
Yeah.
about the
We are-
police not doing their duty.
That is not our function as this committee, okay? You should be complaining to the police department.
I already did.
Okay, well,
I've complained for decades.
that's not our
I
charge.
complained to planning and zoning, I complained to
Okay,
the selectman's office, and town planning and zoning and public works. And all they have to do is their duty as written in the ordinance. If they can sleep at night behind the church on South Pine Creek,
Mr. Chairman,
they can certainly walk down the street and
I
write tickets.
suggest that we adjourn. I'd like to make a motion.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Have a good night.